Hi, welcome to today's WeChat Recruiting webinar on employee referrals and crowdsourcing. My name is Beecher, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ajinga. By way of background, Ajinga is a cloud-based recruiting technology company helping to bridge global recruiting systems with local recruiting channels and candidates here in China. So when we're talking about recruiting in China, the topic of WeChat always comes up because it's such a big part of everyday life here. Specifically, as China's leading social media, WeChat lends itself to be a wonderful platform for the purposes of employee referrals and crowdsourcing referrals. And this is what I want to share with you today to highlight how leading companies are leveraging WeChat to empower their employee referral and crowdsourcing referral programs here in China. So here are some of the contents that we're going to review in today's webinar. So referral program prevalence, using WeChat for traditional employee referrals, and then traditional employee referrals versus crowdsourcing referrals to understand what the difference between those two are. And then finally, how WeChat empowers crowdsourcing referrals. So let's get into it. Let's first have a look at the prevalence of referral programs in general here in China. Well, in a survey that we conducted with the American Chamber of Commerce here in Shanghai in Q2 and Q3 of 2019, we found that 70% of companies had a referral program in place already. And this measures up to the prevalence which we would see in other markets around the world as well. But obviously, WeChat is the major social media here in China. So we wanted to look at what is the degree of WeChat integration maturity. So what we found is that 71% of companies had already integrated WeChat into their referral program so that they could communicate open position information from HR via their WeChat account. 69% of companies in the survey claimed that open position information, the job descriptions, could be shared by individuals through WeChat as well. Around 50% of companies said that the candidates could quickly and conveniently apply through WeChat to these open positions based on what was being sent around. A lower number, 27% there, claimed that referrers could actually track their referrals that they'd made and the rewards that they were potentially earning through WeChat. 29% of companies indicated that the referral rewards could be paid out through the WeChat digital wallet. If you are unfamiliar with WeChat's digital wallet, you may want to look at one of the other webinars we conducted recently on what is WeChat Recruiting, because we talk a little bit about what is WeChat itself and how that digital wallet is really transforming how people interact here in China. And 25% of companies indicated that they use some sort of chat bot to assist with referrals, perhaps to prompt and or facilitate those referrals. And as you can see in each of these questions, we have a percentage of companies that if they don't have it already in place, they're working on it. So clearly over on the left-hand side of the screen, some of these items are a little easier to implement. And over here on the right side, some of these functionality is a little bit more complex to administer. And there's a diverse range of referral rewards. Traditionally, I think in many referral programs, the referrer had been rewarded for making a referral who had successfully been onboarded or perhaps passed probationary period. Here in China, what we're seeing is a diversity of different types of rewards to motivate and to engage folks to conduct referrals. So the first one is we see around 26% of companies are simply rewarding referrers who submit candidate information directly to HR. They just simply want to drive the behavior of getting more referrals from generally their employees. 19% of companies provide a reward for referring a candidate who simply applies to that link that they put out there typically via their social media. 21% of companies reward their referrers for referring a candidate who actually is sufficiently qualified to get an interview. So they're looking to reward referrers to refer higher quality resumes, if you will. Now, not surprisingly, around half the market is providing some sort of referral reward for candidates who are onboarded, and a similar number there are providing a reward for candidates who are referred that pass probation. I thought this was a pretty high number, actually. 33% of companies in the survey indicated that they provided a reward for the folks that have been part of a successful chain of referrals. So if an employee shares it with a friend and the friend shares it with somebody else and somebody forwards it on again until it results ultimately in an application, each of the people in that successful chain could be eligible for reward. The 33% is actually pretty high, but it seems to be gaining traction due to the way that these links and the sharing of links can be tracked within WeChat. And then some companies, 13% specifically, are providing rewards for folks who display the right behavior for rewarding. So they have a leaderboard concept, and those folks who typically share a lot, despite the fact they may or may not have been successful with their referral, are rewarded and recognized for the positive behaviors of role modeling referrals. So there's really an increasing diversity in the range of different types of rewards that are being offered for referral programs here in China. So what are some of the challenges with referral? Certainly low employee awareness. This is a challenge for many referral programs, no matter which market you're in. Since we started doing the survey in 2018, we've seen that that has dropped, but still remains for 19% of companies a significant challenge. Having the right level of reward to really incentivize or motivate rewarding is also a challenge. So we want to make sure our referral program is competitive. If I do make a referral, I want to make sure that reward is competitive in the market. Complexity is another challenge. No or weak program management tools is obviously another challenge, and that seems to be becoming more so of a challenge since the 2018 survey, and that could be due to the diversity and types of functionality that are available now within WeChat. But companies really need to stay abreast of those changes and those technologies in order to capture them. Unclear or weak referral policy is somewhat of a challenge, difficult and time consuming, and then around 17% of companies are saying that they lack the resources to effectively administer their referral program. So not unlike many of the challenges that you would see in any market throughout the world, but certainly here in China as well. And it seems from the survey that cash certainly is the preferred reward mechanism or reward output for referral programs. So 69% of companies indicate that they have a cash reward system. They believe that cash is more rewarding than a points-based system where they may have to redeem those points for product of some type, or they provide product directly, or even recognition. So certainly cash is king. But that's pretty much in line with traditional Chinese gifting practices anyway, where at the Chinese New Year, it's pretty typical for a red envelope or increasingly now a digital red envelope to be given during the Chinese New Year period. So cash is very much a norm in Chinese gift giving history and etiquette. So let's talk a little bit about how WeChat is being used for traditional employee referrals. So here is a pharmaceutical company, GSK, and they have what you can see is a floating referral button. And so with a more traditional referral approach, referrers may tap this button, typically embedded into the job description. And once that is tapped, the referrer will be able to either submit their referral directly to HR or share the link to a friend via social media. Now, if they were to tap the submit referral to HR, they would be able to enter their friend's details and also import, ideally, the friend's resume or profile into the WeChat platform. And so that could be delivered through to the individual, through to the recruiter. So the referral resume together with the referrer's personal information would be collected in the recruiter's applicant tracking and management system. Just like we could submit our friend's resume directly to HR, probably what's a little bit more common, and certainly common in the context of how people behave within WeChat, is they generally like to share the links through WeChat or through other social media to their friends, and then leave it up to their friend to determine if they'll apply or not to the position. So in this particular option, they were able to share to a friend, and then they would select which preferred social media they would like to share within. So this icon represents WeChat. This icon represents China's equivalent of Twitter, which is known as Weibo. This icon, I guess, little cute penguin there, that represents a social media by the name of QQ. It's also owned by the same parent company as the WeChat, which is known as Tencent, and that's very popular with young folks here in China. So if I was to share this through any of these social media that you see listed here, including email, that would be tagged and tracked as being my referral link. And so if somebody did apply using the link that was sent out by me, then my details would be attached to that person's application so that the recruiter could see my details, and then I'd be eligible for a reward for making that referral. So this is pretty straightforward in terms of how companies are leveraging WeChat for traditional referrals. But WeChat actually provides a really wonderful platform to go much further than this. So this is what we call, or this is where we want to talk about crowdsourcing referral. So first of all, what is crowdsourcing? Well, crowdsourcing in general is a sourcing model in which individuals and organizations obtain goods and services, including ideas or finances, from a large and relatively open and perhaps rapidly evolving group of internet users. So in the finance world, there are pretty famous crowdsourcing platforms such as Kickstarter or GoFundMe. In the charity world, charities such as Kiva make use of the crowd to re-examine or reimagine how traditional philanthropic activities occurred, or investment and fundraising activities would occur. So just like these innovations are hitting all sorts of other industries, they're also hitting us here in the talent acquisition and employer branding function. So crowdsourcing in the recruiting context is a sourcing model where all stakeholders of the organization, including both employees and non-employees, are motivated, empowered, and most importantly, rewarded for referring talent. And again, typically this is through social media. So let's have a little look at what that looks like in practical sense between traditional employee referrals and crowdsourcing referrals. And crowdsourcing referrals, what we specifically mean here is that either an employee or a non-employee can all potentially be rewarded. So if you can imagine, we're here in the HR function, and this first circle here is our direct employees. These are the people that work in our organization. And one of the challenges, of course, for the recruiting team and the talent acquisition folks is that not every employee is going to be actively participating in the referral program at all times. But in this particular case, two employees are participating in the program, and they will take action to share that information about the referral program. Typically, it's a list of jobs with their friend who sits outside the organization. And in this case, he or she will either apply to the job or not. And if they don't, or if they're not, interested in the position, it's unlikely that they will share that position information with their friend. However, when everybody can participate in the referral program, which we call crowdsourcing, then everybody has an incentive of some type to share that position. So in this particular case, my friend who works for the organization has shared it with me. I don't want to apply for whatever reason, but I am happy to participate because I could be rewarded if I share this link with my network. And so I share it with my friend, and she shares it with her friends. And then she shares it with some more friends, and those friends share it, and those friends share it again. So quickly you can see how when everybody is motivated with some sort of an incentive to engage and participate in the referral program, then you're able to get your message about your positions, your employee value proposition out into a much wider distributed group or network of groups than you would otherwise have achieved is only the employee was incentivized with that reward. So this is really the fundamental difference between traditional employee referral programs and crowdsourcing referral programs, where both employees and non-employees all have the opportunity to participate. So let's have a little talk then about how WeChat can empower this concept of crowdsourcing referrals. Okay, so this is potentially what crowdsourcing referral looks like for an organization. In this particular case, we're using Nielsen, market research folks, as an example. And so when companies incentivize both employees and non-employees to participate in the referral program, they advertise this or enable this by updating their job descriptions. So in this particular case, I have the option to click on the apply button, or I can click on the reward button, and I can see quite clearly that there's potentially quite a substantial reward to be earned here. In this particular case, it's around 2,000 kwai. We've found through our research that when companies have provided the crowdsourcing option and thereby motivating the crowd, they're generally going to get around 2 times the number of applications than they would with a traditional employee referral program. Now, if the user was to tap that reward up to 2,000 renminbi button, they could see that in fact there's a range of micro rewards, or in this case, specifically a micro reward for applied, and then a much larger reward for the traditional success step of past probation reward. So we can see here that Nielsen's offering a small micro reward of 4 kwai for the first 30 referred applications. And then if they pass probation, I'll be rewarded again with a much larger amount of their 2,000 kwai. So these micro rewards are more motivating and more engaging for people to participate in the program. Today's social media user has a very limited attention span, and if they take action on behalf of your organization, they typically will want some sort of quick feedback, quick reward, quick pat on the back. What we can see here is that Coach, the luxury retailer, has taken this a step forward. They've actually gamified the process so that they have a range of different rewards for different successful milestones for a successful referral. So in this particular case, they've got 16 kwai for the first 10 successfully referred applications. They have 260 kwai for the first 3 successfully referred folks that get an interview. And then they have a larger reward for onboarded, and again, another reward for past probation. So this enables the organization to provide much quicker or faster motivating rewards than would otherwise be available if we simply rewarded at this stage of past probation, which in China could be 3 or 6 months after the initial onboarded. So the applied reward is very instantaneous, and the interviewed maybe just within a few weeks of making that referral, and then the onboard reward and past probation reward. So much more instantaneous, more gamified feedback that engages and involves people to be involved in supporting your referral program. Now, we talked about the importance of utilizing a range of different social media. Obviously, this is within WeChat, but you want to be able to, from WeChat, share it into the right channel to access the right types of target demographic candidates. WeChat has around 1.15 billion users. QQ, which is also owned by the same holding company as WeChat, as I mentioned, is the penguin icon there that has around 800 million monthly active users. mostly high school and university graduates. So if you're looking for, if you're trying to motivate and incentivize younger folks, typically often in the retail industry, or graduates for your graduate program, or interns for your internship program, QQ is a wonderful channel to target them. Weibo is the China's equivalent of Twitter that has around 500 million, so 516 million monthly active users. So this is great to target the types of professions that have very specialty chat groups and discussions. So we often see this being used for, let's say, store merchandisers who love to get together within Weibo to talk about those topics. Many of the science roles have very specific science chats within Weibo. And so sharing these job descriptions through this referral program to the right channel, to the right discussion group within these channels has a great result. And so when referrers select the right channel for the right position, your referral application numbers increase pretty dramatically. Now, we talked briefly the fact that WeChat has an integrated digital wallet. This is a huge part of the way commerce is done here. Generally speaking, you can use these digital wallets for online payments, offline payments, peer-to-peer payments. I can walk into the local 7-Eleven and buy my drink or my snack without actually having to use cash. I just show the QR code within my WeChat. The register scans it, and I've effectively paid. So integrating the digital wallet into your referral or crowdsourcing program is a great way to, again, motivate and engage your referrers so that it becomes very easy and very simple for them to collect their rewards. So this is an example we talked about of the red envelope. It actually looks and feels like a Chinese traditional red envelope, which you would give at Chinese New Year. And they were able to click through to see the amount that they've been rewarded, and then in fact go even further to see and track all the successful referrals that they've made, and assuming some of these people pass probation, all the potential referral rewards that they could be eligible for in the future as well. So this provides a sense of transparency to your referral program, which would otherwise be very difficult to achieve just using traditional emails or websites. So WeChat really has been able to provide a much more interesting and engaging, fast and dynamic and gamified referral experience for companies here in China. And I hope that has been a little bit useful for you to understand how WeChat can be used for employee referrals, and also how WeChat can be used for crowdsourcing here in China. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions, and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Thank you.